Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Face It with Dr. G. I'm Dr. G, and I have the absolute pleasure of having a beautiful colleague and friend with us today, Gina McLean. She
Hi,
is
everyone.
the co-founder of Skin Local in Florida, and we're going to hear all about her journey, business, entrepreneurial journey, all of it. So, welcome. So happy to have
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah. Tell everybody who you are.
So, my name is Gina McLean. I'm a physician assistant, and I started in aesthetic medicine about 16 years ago now. I came out of PA school and went straight into dermatology. And I did derm for about 9 years, almost to the 10-year mark, in a practice with a doctor, doing, everything clinical, cosmetic, surgical, lasers. And that was right around the time I had my third kid in 4 years. So, there was natural burnout and just kind of tired of the in and out. And in dermatology, with the reimbursements, as sad as it may be, you had to see a ton of patients to make it make sense. So right around that time, I kind of took a break and decided to just almost completely take a break from practicing. And I have to pay the bills, so I started dabbling in just doing some cosmetic patients here or there. Got my own suite, started building some clientele, and it grew rapidly. It went well, and I found the opportunity to join forces with another derm PA, Jennifer Martinez, that I had known for a while, who also had left a big derm practice and was kind of doing her own thing. And we decided to basically join forces and get a space together. So we did that, and COVID hit. So it was actually quite a journey. I know we had just signed the lease, COVID hit, and we were freaking out like, okay, now we're in for it because we signed that paperwork. So we took that time to do the build out, and just luckily, thankfully, when the restrictions were lifted and we were able to practice again was right around the time that we were ready to open the doors with our build out, our first kind of, flagship office. And it was actually the same year, I'm not sure if you remember, that they launched Kiss from wrestling. And it was
Oh,
like, it was a combination of the Zoom boom, everybody seeing themselves all the time, everyone wanting to do something coming out of COVID to their face, or like, just aesthetic, and, the launch of this wonderful product where it just became, um, I feel like everyone was doing lip filler. It just became kind of the thing. So we were very fortunate that that helped boost our business, and all of our patients that had been patients of ours for many years came to support. We felt the love from the community, and we grew rapidly. And then that turned into opening a second location, and now we're up to five. So in the last,
wow.
we're up to like 6 years now, we grew. And we've brought on other practitioners and grown the brand, but we're very much involved in all the ins and outs of everything.
That is awesome. So many questions for you and congrats. That's just
Thank you.
an enormous, amazing accomplishment, obviously. How many locations do you want to have?
We never actually even considered it. It was just a happenstance, the second location really came because we outgrew the first. We didn't want to overbite and take up space that was too big. It's the first time doing this. And then we found that with ourselves and an esthetician, it became too cramped. And we had just poured all this money into a rebuild. So it was like, okay, instead of picking up and leaving, let's just open a second one a little further away. We had patients that came from further. We tried to make it more convenient for them. And in doing that, we said, okay, well, now we have time for a third practitioner or space, right?
Yeah.
So we started that way organically. And then the three other locations actually came back to back. And I'll tell you why. We had a business partner that wanted to open like another Skin Local with our guidance and our brand and everything we were doing. And so we basically did a partnership to open a third, a little north in Miami. I was seriously considering moving to Central Florida. I have a lot of family and friends there, and I thought for retirement that would be great. So I decided to start getting the wheels going. I had been thinking about it for years, of slowly growing and opening a space there, and I found a perfect practitioner to partner with there. And then one of the girls that worked with us, she was actually our CFO. She's originally from California, and she goes, "Hey, I want to move back there. I want to raise my child there." And obviously, like, she knows the ins and outs of the business, she knows it all. And she's like, "How would you guys think about opening one there?" And we're like, "Yeah, if you want to be there, run it." Organically, someone who's been with us from the beginning knows our brand. Yes. So it's always been picking and choosing like the right person first and the right location, but I think the right people was really what guided this, and the necessity, not because we just wanted to open a bunch. So we think about the future, and we think of more, and we've had a lot of people reach out of like, who do we want to partner with and what makes sense, and then take it from there, kind of thing.
Yeah. So when you say partner with, do the people that partner with you have a financial stake in the business in
Yeah,
that one
so
location?
each one of them have, a partnership with us. That's how
Hmm.
we've structured it so far, except for the ones in Miami, which are Jen and I. But we've tried to keep kind of our hands in the pot and make sure we have control over the brand and everything like that so that it stays to our standard. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost analogous to Ron Shake and how he did Panera. So he had half of the Paneras are franchised and half were privately owned by him. It's what you're doing, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah. I mean,
keeping
we're
control
playing,
over
we've
yours.
met, made kind
Yeah.
of the arrangements to see if the next step turns into franchise. So we've met with attorneys and done all the paperwork and done everything to get the ball rolling for if and when we're ready to. But again, we're not there yet. We're just still so young, and we really want control over the brand. We don't want to become another, like, I would say chain med spa. We're just not there yet. And we still have this niche that we're between something like a chain med spa and then a privately owned practice, so we're trying to kind of keep that vibe going.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And it's very unique, I think, how you've structured it. How do you deal with the overall operations of keeping the brand consistent at all the locations?
Well, I think it's hiring the right people, but having help. It just comes down to help, and luckily all of our people have been with us from the beginning, so we've grown it from within. We really believe in that. I mean, we've had medical assistants go on to nursing school, and now our nurse finished nurse practitioner, and now she's becoming a provider. So she's literally, we've seen her all the way through. Same thing with somebody that was kind of like our front desk girl turned into office manager, has now turned into our chief brand officer. And so it's kind of like they know us intimately. They know the brand, they know our core values, and I think that that's probably the most important thing that we've done well, is picking the right people and allowing growth within and giving them space to grow.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
powerful, and I completely agree. It's why would you look outside to bring someone in if you haven't asked? You don't even know any hidden talents that some of your people may have. You may not know their goals, their aspirations, what they want their future to look like. So, yeah, we sit down and go through that with all of our team members as well, just so we know that we're providing a culture and a place for them to grow,
Right.
professionally and personally, just to develop skills. So I love that. And it's all about the people. I mean, I tell them all the time, I show up here right now at this point in my life. I also have three babies, three kids as well. It's really, really hard. And I show up because I love what I do, but because of the people. And, G-Face is very different because I haven't had the same people the whole time. How large is your team? I'm curious to run all of the,
Okay, so I'd have to really sit and think for a sec, but between all the
so a lot.
offices, I think we're up to like probably close to 20.
Yeah,
If not
that's
just
awesome.
under. Yeah, if I
Yeah.
yeah. Because in the Miami location we kind of swap. Like Jen and I will be at different offices different times, and then we like to be at each office. Like I go to the Midtown location once a month. I go to Orlando once a month. 2 days a week I'm at one, 2 days a week I'm at the other. So I like to still be in the offices
Yeah.
logistically for some patients who just want to see us at those locations, but also just to make sure that we're in there. It's not just like blinded and not know what's happening, and make sure that it's still running the way we expect it to be. But
Yeah,
we haven't
that's
had
great.
any issues. Yeah.
That's so good. That's awesome. What would you say was the hardest thing you had to do, or the hardest thing and the biggest mistake you made in the journey?
So mistakes, there's plenty, because with
That's how we grow.
entrepreneurship, it's like you don't know. There's no playbook, especially in this space and in our area. Nobody had done this before as a physician assistant. So we were probably the first, if not second, to actually open our doors as a physician assistant owned practice in this area. And I'll be honest, we got a lot of hate for it, a lot of pushback, more from professionals, like I think they just rubbed the wrong way that like a physician assistant was doing this, but we're like, hey, we're doing it legally and we're doing it the right way. Like, why not? Just because it's new.
Hmm.
So I think that was a challenge, was just kind of navigating how we were received in the industry. Um, and we're not going to sugarcoat it. As physician assistants and nurse practitioners, we are looked at differently than a doctor. I understand that. I get it. I respect doctors for what they've done. There's, no question that it's different training, but at the same time, I can only do the best I can. But we had this pressure to be better, to be more professional, to raise that standard of care to where it was acceptable,
That's amazing.
so I think a little bit of that pressure turned out to be good because it made us show up and make sure everything was crossed T's and dotted I's. But it should be like that anyways, so I didn't mind it. And I think as mistakes, we haven't had too many that have been devastating. Thankfully, we've thought things out. We've grown slow. They say hire slow, fire
Yeah.
fast. I might have done that a little quicker at the beginning just because I feel like personalities matter. And in close quarters with a lot of women, you have to make sure everybody vibes, and it's very challenging. Everyone has different personalities and different personal things going on. But I think and as a woman who's maybe an empath, you kind of give people second chances, third chances. You feel bad. We may not be as cutthroat as our male counterparts. But at the end of the day, I've learned to just make the right decision and make it quick before it kind of infiltrates and gives that vibe to the whole office. So that would be the only thing I would think that I would have changed. But other than that, I really got to say we're blessed with amazing people, and it's been really good. And picking the right partner, because that too can be challenging when it's not just your show. You've got to always have a partner that vibes with you, and you guys at your core have the same values and ideas, and you're easy to work with. Because just like in a marriage, if it's too much oil and water, like it's just never going to work out.
Right.
And I
Totally
feel really
agree.
blessed to find that partner with my partner Jennifer. Yeah.
That is awesome. I mean, I think that it's just really special. And you're right. You have to be able to know the person well enough to know not only how they are on the surface and superficial front, but how they think, how they act, how they make decisions, all of those things, how they treat
Yeah, when
people.
things get tough, like how are you going to get out of it together kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. What did you say before that with the hire, slow, fire, quick? You said, what was the concept you were saying before? Because I had a question about it, but I forgot.
So no, just in like personnel, right? And bringing on
Yeah.
personalities. You just
Yeah.
feel like the vibe is off, or you know long enough to know like sometimes you can't squeeze, water out of a rock. Some people just have certain abilities or tendencies, and if you force them to do something that they're not, it doesn't naturally come to them. I think it just never works out. And that's just in life in general, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
change
It's just
people.
life in general. Yeah.
So you quickly learn, that personality and that work ethic, and you decide if it matches your ideas. And if it doesn't, I think even if it's on good terms, if it just doesn't work for the company, it just doesn't work for the company. You got to make those decisions quickly before that permeates to the rest of the staff. And that has
Yeah.
been a learning experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Talk to us a little bit more about your training. I know you're involved with Master Injector, which is awesome. How did that evolve? How did that happen?
So, one of my reps came up to me, and I remember her kind of like pulling me aside and being like, "This is this top secret thing that's going to be coming. It's new. It's exciting. It's a competition for injectors." And I'm like, "Listen, I used to be an athlete. Say the word competition again. Like I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah.
This sounds fun." And she goes, "It's going to be videotaped. It might be TV show." And I was like, let's go. I'm ready to
Let's
like.
go, I'm ready.
Where's my Netflix special? Let's do this. So I had no idea. It was the first time they had done it. I had no idea what it involved. She just said, listen, you have to do a pretest, you have to qualify, and then they have to basically pick if you want to do this competition where you're going to be injecting in front of other injectors, and then you're going to get judged, and they're going to name someone a master injector. And I'm like, okay, I'll take the test and then I'll see the vibe. Like, I don't know who's going. I don't know how big this is. I don't know any of these people. I had heard of Benji and Lee, but I didn't know them that well yet. And so I just kind of went for it. And it was the first year, so they've changed it a couple times now. And it was basically that. So you had to take this pretest that qualified you to even be in the competition. And then at the actual conference, they basically pulled people aside and said, you qualified. Do you want to compete? And if you wanted to, you had to get a model like in 24 hours to be there. I'm like, okay, let's go. I was like, let me see if I can get a model first. And then, okay, sure enough, I got, that's the other thing. Like, you got to have someone that's kind of down for it. You're going to be on stage and I'm going to
Yeah.
be injecting you. And so I got one of my patients that I had for a while. Actually, it was a sister of a patient. I don't even know if she had ever been injected till that point. But she was very easygoing. I'm like, that's what I need. Like, I don't know what to expect. So you got to just be here for the day and trust me. And she's like, okay, I trust you, let's go. And then we had to, on stage with 30 minutes, 4 syringes, do basically the most we could do aesthetically to just make them look better, while dictating in heels, mind you, which I'm a sneaker girl, to the entire conference what you're doing,
Yeah.
cannula, needle, where you're at in the face, anatomy, your danger zones, the layers. So I just like verbal diarrhea. I did the best I could. I couldn't even realize. I remember at the end, he was like, you have 30 seconds. And I was like, but I'm done. He's like, I don't know, do something else. I'm like, okay. I think I put like an extra drop in her like chin or something. And that was it. And then we waited. I think it was like 6 people that went. So 2 at a time. And then I went backstage and I was just like blanked out. I was like, okay, I did it. I got through
I'm
it.
done. Like, I don't know what happened, but I'm
I'm
done.
not even watching the rest of it. I'm done. And at the end, the winner, what was really the motivator for me was you got to go to London and train with Dr. Benji Dillon and Lee Walker. And I was like, I've never even been out of the country. I didn't even have a
What?
passport. I had lied. I lied to them that I had a passport and I had a friend. This is Miami, so you can find anything in 30 minutes. Do this like concierge lady that like gets you your passport for quite some money, like within 24, 48 hours. And I was like, if I win, I have a couple weeks to plan, I'll get it. And sure enough, I got it. Called her the next day. I was like, I need my passport. Here's all the documents to my life. Please don't steal my identity. She got it done. And I was on a plane to London, first time out of the country, first time doing anything like that. Yeah,
That is so awesome and exhilarating and all the things.
I know.
Wow. And so how was London? How was that training? And how would you compare it to trainings that you receive in the US?
I mean, so it was a little everything, right? I got to do the sightseeing. I got to train with Benchy in his office. I found it very interesting to see how they consult over there. I laughed because here we do a medical history. You know, you ask the person about their medical history, their allergies, blah, blah, blah. There they just go, are you fit and well, in their cute little British
That's it.
accent? And I'm like, that's it? And they're like, yeah, they know what that means. I'm like, that is the cutest thing ever. I want to do that at home. I don't want to ask all these questions. Like, tell me what I need to know.
Yeah.
Really cute. And then instead of like, I'm gonna poke you or feel something, he would say short scratch, but always in this British
Short
accent that was just so
scratch.
cute. Short scratch. So it's just interesting to see. Luckily we had a very similar injection style anyways, so it was really just I feel like with all my trainings, especially now, it's more just I'm just curious. Like, are you doing something wildly different than me? Like, do you have a little nugget there of like something that I've never seen before or a cool little trick? Because it's all comes down to experience and time. It's
Yeah,
how you learn these
exactly.
things.
Yeah.
So, no, overall it was fantastic. They were super accommodating. We got to go out, we got to see all the landmarks, and I actually took my chief brand officer because I was like, someone has to come with me. I've never traveled international before. And it was great. We had a great time. It was short, I could have been there much longer, but it was just
Yeah.
enough. And I came back
That's so
and it
awesome.
was great. Yeah.
That's so awesome. I'm going to flip over to entrepreneurial stuff again. Chief Brand Officer. So that's an interesting title. I want to hear more about that, how you came up with it, and what the job description is.
I think she named herself. This is the same girl. I'm going to shout her out, Julia, who started with us as a teenager doing, I think it was Accutane in high school
Ah,
as a patient, and then wanted to be a PA. So then started shadowing, kind of fought her way for a position in the company, saying like, let me just do something, right? She just wanted to learn, get that experience and start building up her books to be able to apply to PA school. And in doing that, realized I actually don't want to inject
my
people in the
God.
chair. I'm like, it's good that you tried it out. But she had this natural knack for style, for branding, for our vibe. And again, it just worked. And I was like, you know what? You're really good at this. I trust
Yeah.
you. Go for it. And she just flourished. And she's the one that makes sure I'm wearing whatever. I actually didn't run it by her today, but I'm like, plain black is fine. But she has been like, you're not wearing that on stage. You need to have this purse. We're going shopping. So she curates everything that has to do with our brand. And I think that's very important because it transcends to the patients what our aesthetic is so they can see if it's alike theirs and chooses as a practice or as a practitioner. But also it just keeps that cohesive kind of branding, especially as we build and have more offices to where the core stays the same.
That is
Yeah.
so amazing. And uh, I think so. We have a title Chief Growth Officer. So
Okay.
I was curious. So it sounds like she made up her name, which is perfect and amazing because I do believe the Chief Brand Officer has to believe in your mission, vision, values 1,000,000%, right? She probably
Mm-hmm.
eats, breathes, sleeps your brand, which
Yeah,
is really, really amazing, probably to feel. But yeah, we have Chief Growth Officer. So I thought that
that's
was
cool.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she
Yeah.
wears many hats. I mean, we call her chief brand officer, but she does like events and things like that, which as you grow and you're doing all these things, especially with multiple locations, you need someone to just be staying on top of it all. But yeah, she's great at what she does. But everyone in our office dabbles a little bit in everything. I think that's important. I think they have to at least be cross-trained, like she can answer the phone too and make an appointment for somebody. So everyone knows everything, but they kind of try to stay in their lane. Yeah,
Yeah, kind of try.
kind of try.
Love that. I think one of my biggest struggles with doing that, and I give you credit for having that work, but we got to a point in our practices where we have the marketing division, and we have the non-clinical directors, we have the clinical directors, we have lead aesthetic nurses, we have all these things. But even within the marketing division, it wasn't clear who was doing what because we have Face It Live and the Academy and GFace MD and Sawyer Skin. So there's so many things happening.
Yeah.
So who's doing the marketing for which one, right? And then it would just get done, but we wouldn't know the go-to of who did it. Okay, so having to even more, you know,
Structure
describe
it.
in detail
Yeah.
all of the job descriptions has been useful. But yes, the cross training is essential. We have nurses that sit at the front to get to know the patients more, to be on the phone, to learn. You learn by answering the phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
You learn by having to ask questions. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Well, maybe chief
So
brand officer is next on your hire list.
I do. I actually really love that title, and I'm gonna figure that out.
Well, she's
I
also the one
think
I punt a lot of people to when they're like, "Hey, can you?" I was like, "Oh, talk to Julia. She,
yeah,
she was my assistant."
I
She
love
doesn't like when
that.
I call her my assistant, but I'm like, "You're my assistant today because I don't want to talk to that person. So just schedule them a lunch. It's fine." So she helps with a lot of that in between.
Yeah, and she's there to help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you manage all of it? I'm sure you get asked this all the time, between three kids and a family life and personal enjoyment of whatever you like to do in your off time and work.
I mean, so I think a lot of it's just structure, right? Just staying scheduled. It's gotten obviously harder. I have three boys, all within 4 years of each other. I have a hobby farm, for God's sakes. We don't travel much, so that helps. But now with sports and all of the personal stuff, and my husband's a firefighter, so every 2 days he's gone for 24 hours. So I
Wow.
just live my life. I literally still old school. Like I have one of those digital calendars, but I still carry like the month. I need to see it like all. And I'll try to do like at least 3 or 4 months in advance with a good idea of the whole year. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm like, if it's not in there, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So that has helped me the most. It's just, and I think maybe it's my Virgo side, a little OCD and organized, but I'm like writing everything down and I have to have everything super organized and kind of like dictated out. But that has helped, but it's still just crazy. I mean, I tell
Yeah.
everybody it's controlled chaos. I can wake up one day and the kid's sick and like, that's life. You got to kind of adjust and pivot. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And you have to keep your knees bent and you have to realize where your priorities are, what's most important to you, obviously. And being an entrepreneur and having a family, it's almost like they toggle back and forth. It's like, we don't really believe in balance. It's like what's more important at this time versus what's more important at another time, is sometimes how I kind of attack that.
Yeah.
But for injectors that are looking to expand, or even for new nurses that want to go into aesthetics, what advice would you give them to
I think it
start
would
their own practice?
be, I mean, first know your stuff, right? It is unfortunately walk before you run. And I feel like I do a lot of trainings. I do have a lot of, practitioners that reach out to me for guidance and stuff like that. And I don't want to poo poo them, right? And like ruin their dreams. But I'm like, you're seeing me now, but I'm 16 years in. And this grew organically. So this wasn't because of followers or Instagram. It's because I did good work. I mean, I've seen generations of kids that I treated at 4 and they're going to college. So it's like I've really built it from the ground up. And it's not to say someone else can't get there faster. I hope they do. And it maybe doesn't need to take that long. But I feel like people are starting to skip steps and not learning the foundations of even just, I call it peopling. Like get in a room and learn how to do an intake, learn how to touch a patient. Dermatology had that advantage. We're constantly touching patients. We have that touch with the syringe, biopsies, scanning skin. But some of these nurses have only ever put in an IV and checked monitors, and they don't even know how to hold the syringe the right way or touch people. I mean, I think Jenny was in a training and she said somebody like moved the patient with their nose. I'm like, we're like, no, no,
What?
just gently move them. But it's just little things like that that unfortunately it does just come with experience. And you just sometimes need to say, I'm going to walk before I run, and I'm going to make sure I master this first before I go on to the next step. So I would say that, like, move intently, but slowly and purposely. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Um, I think it's hard. And as you say, it's not easy to walk before you run because there's that middle ground of, okay, I want to move forward, but I'm scared and I hesitate. So I always had the 80-20 rule. If I'm 80% sure of a decision that I know wasn't patient care, right? It was on the business side, I would move forward, like logos and branding and all that stuff that can be changed. And things have changed here a lot, and systems and procedures and protocols just continue to develop and develop. That's business 101. Running in the sense of knowing your technical abilities, your professional medical abilities, your skills, your anatomy, for me, understanding ultrasound. And that's where you walk, don't run. On the business side, I felt like I needed to run because I was so excited about it and everything had to happen yesterday. But by doing that, you do make mistakes. So it's a balance, again, which I don't love that word, between where does this decision lie in the scheme of things?
Yeah. No, I mean, calculated risks, you have to, right, to move forward. I agree with you on that you gotta sometimes do it scared, and just do it anyway and just know, okay, I'm gonna learn from it or I'm gonna succeed, right? Like, I know as cliche as that sounds, I would say just slower on the big things. Like some people buy like 5 machines and they haven't even like gotten their base, patient load, or they'll sign a huge lease, I'm like, just start in that aspect slow while you build everything else, and it'll come. And then it comes like a landfall, like then it really starts to come. And then that's when you can move really fast, because you're confident in your.
Yeah, you're confident. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm scared I'm going to forget my question. So for your different locations, if you have different partners, how do you guys decide what machines to buy? Or do you require that it's the same machine and you guys have to approve it?
So that's why we did more partnership than franchise, because we wanted to be able to customize each location. So what they want in California, what her patient load wants there may not be the same as South Florida or Central Florida. We find a discrepancy between that. So we didn't want that cookie cutter. And in this opportunity of partnering and opening up kind of our home to someone to come in with us, we wanted that flexibility, because there's a lot that we learned that we didn't like in the practices that we were in. We kind of set that as the example, like, okay, we're never going to do that. And one of them was pigeonholing people to having to do things that they necessarily didn't want to do. And so even in our product lines, we're like, if in California they like skin better, but we don't carry it at this other one, it's fine. Like, do what your patients want. And that's to speak to the devices. If you have a different patient population there that maybe is lighter skin, darker skin, whatever you're going to pick a device of what they're looking for, what meets your patient load. And I tell that to people doing, even not with us, just in general, what machine should I buy next? I go, what do your patients need next? Don't just buy something to buy some. Don't just get laser hair removal because everybody gets it. What are you going to be excited about? What are you going to promote? What do you believe in? And what do you think would help the most complement the other services you have for your patients? Get that one first.
Yeah. And what are your patients asking for? We got a different laser because everyone wanted something stronger. They were going somewhere else for it. So it's like, okay, your patients will tell you if you ask them, what do we want to have? I think that's a really interesting and unique strategy, because my mind goes to, oh gosh, well, what does the website say? How can you have different services at different locations on a website? And then I'm like, oh, well, maybe there's a drop down menu with all the locations and that brings you to another page that has the services offered at that location. How do you do it?
That's basically what we did. So when we opened up Midtown, they got their the ultra clear and soft wave because we didn't have it here. And we go, okay, that's kind of the next thing we would think of. But now you know what? We're gonna send our patients over there to do something that you only do once or twice a year, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not super inconvenient for them to go maybe a little further to do it, make sure it's still done in our, in-house with a skin local practitioner that they know they're going to get that um, standard of care. I can confidently say go, and then they could come right back to the one that they're more convenient going to. So it almost is like each one of these offices, especially the ones closer, complemented the next because we could bounce patients around. And then as it does well, then, oh, is it worth bringing in another duplicate machine to another location? Okay, then it is. So it also gave us the opportunity to do something like that.
And to have practices that are relatively close together, because I think, if and when you're looking to sell, clustering locations is ideal, versus, ultimately spreading across state lines is what we want to do. But yeah, how many do you have that are close by, and do they make sense? But
Yeah.
it more even easier for you guys, not easy, but you're offering different services. So it could be half a mile down the road and still
Right.
work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The
that's awesome.
the Midtown one, like with traffic, can be 2 hours. Without, it can be 30 minutes. So it's like that's why I go on
Yeah.
Saturdays from where I am. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, but my patient will go on a Saturday morning 30 minutes for her soft wave. But she's not gonna, the one that lives next to this office over here isn't gonna go there for talk. So it's nice. It's just far enough away. Um, and we do give it a lot of thought. We've been in the industry long enough. We've played with all these devices. So obviously they value our opinion. That's what they're partnering with us for, right? It's not just for the brand name, it's for the guidance,
Hmm.
of how did you guys make it work? It was obviously successful. Show me how.
Yeah. Did you do any business courses, or do you feel you were just naturally
I mean,
entrepreneurial?
I have a business background. I did kind of dual major. But no, I think ultimately it's getting and paying for the help from the right people. Like, get those attorneys, get the people who know what they're doing, and just do it right from the beginning. If not, you end up spending the money anyways to fix it. So that's the investment part, right? Is spending a little bit more money to get it done right the first time, but then at least you can rest easy and just know that everything's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, agree. Between the lawyers and the malpractice insurance and the this and the that, I mean, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy all the behind the scenes things that are required. Um, you mentioned that you played sports and you're an athlete growing up. Tell me more about that.
So my whole family has always been sports families. As a matter of fact, I have, professional athletes in my family, but myself, I grew up playing soccer. And then I was on the way to the University of Florida, and I completely destroyed my knee, my freshman year in there. And my mom goes, all right, well, you better not lose your academic scholarship because I was on both. She's like, but soccer's out of the question. Like, you're out. So buckle down and study. So it wasn't that soccer was what I was intending to do, like a professional soccer player, but
That was your
being an athlete
passion.
becomes like your identity when you're so
Yeah.
into it. I mean, I was into it. Like, it was travel, club, the whole shebang, my whole life. So it was a weird identity change of being like, okay, I'm not a soccer player anymore. And my second love had always been animals. I actually always wanted to be a veterinarian. So when I went to the University of Florida, and I was very sheltered, obviously, I told you guys I've never left this country. Um, I found out that there's only one vet school in all of Florida, and it's
At
at the
UF.
University of Florida, and
I
it's
also went
tough
to
to get
UF, but I went to
into.
UF Med. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but if I don't get in that one, I'm gonna go to another state. Like, that freaked me out as a freshman in college. And I go, okay, then I'm just gonna do general medicine and I'll be a doctor. So that was kind of my thing. Got to OChem 2 in the University of Florida, which is arguably the devil's course. They purposely make it a weed out course and as hard as possible. And then I freaked out about that. And I was like, if I can't pass organic chemistry 2 without like anything better than to see, how am I ever going to make it through med school? And my parents have always been very tough on me and expected, excellence. That's just the way I was raised. And I said, okay, well, what are my other options? She goes, okay, we'll switch to a general business degree, do what you can with your courses, and at least then you have options. Like, you'll have, a general business degree, economics, you can go into a lot of things. And so I did that, and I was surprised they kind of gave me an easy out, but I think they were like woosawing my brain because after doing that, I found out about PA. I had no idea about PA school. And it was actually a physician who recommended it to me. And he goes, why don't you just go to PA school? It's quicker, it's faster, and you can almost do everything a doctor can do. And I'm like, sounds great, let's do that. And because I had had a lot of the medical school courses, I only needed like, I don't know, 3 more courses. So I did that, applied, and got in and never looked back. But I didn't know a single PA. I didn't even know what a PA did or could do. So it was a very like roundabout way of getting there, but
For you, it was perfect. You
it
didn't
was
even have to think about it. It was
yeah.
exactly what you wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, and being an athlete, I mean, I bring it up only because I truly believe that did form a lot of good habits in everything that I do. Whether it's in my personal life of marriage and children, to our work life of just being resilient, learning how to dig deep, when you don't want to do it, doing it anyway. And I recommend that everybody put their kids in sports because I think it's just such a good foundation, whether they end up doing it professionally or not. That's not the deal. It's just, I see it with my own kids now. They play baseball and it's when they're tired of this or they get cranky or they make a bad play. It's like, pick yourself back up. Let's go. Let's get back out there. And I think that in the long run, that makes very resilient human beings. So I'm very grateful for that exposure growing up.
Yeah. Just continuing to show up every single day. I mean, that's what business ownership is. But what's interesting about soccer is it's both, I feel like, an individual sport, but also obviously a team sport. But you individually work with the team in a way that you have to be strong on your own, but also work with other people. And I think that skill in and of itself was probably really instrumental for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you played in high school, and then when you went to UF, it was your
Yeah, I was trying to
freshman
walk
year.
on. I was trying to walk on.
You were trying to walk on. Okay.
And in the scrimmage, I literally planted my foot, turned left, my foot got stuck, and I tore my LCL, meniscus, and bone bruise.
Wow.
So ACL, MCL, meniscus, and bone bruise. So it was 5 things. So I went to an ortho here in Miami. He used to be like the ortho for like the Dolphins or something. And I'm sorry, gave a thumbs up and it emoed me. And he goes, the only other time I've seen this has been like in a lineman in the NFL because you snapped it so hard I had to scrape your ACL off of your bone. And I'm like, thanks. Like, I don't know. So he's like, yeah,
Well,
you don't need to be playing soccer again. Like, don't
yeah, it's
even.
like there was no option. It was like we're just gonna slam this out because no.
I remember I was in a computer science class and we had just done this huge project and computers and tech is not my thing. I hated every second of it. And you're like about to turn in this one big project for that class and it happened. And I go, Mom, I am not dropping that class. Like you're coming up. My mom moved up to Gainesville for like 2 weeks. And back then we didn't have those little cute scooters. It was crutches. And like you're raw in the heat of like Gainesville trying to get to class. So she would at least drive me up as close as possible to drop me off because I was like, there's no other way. I can't get to class and I don't want to drop this class. So I remember that vividly, having to live with my mother at an
In
apartment,
college,
weird
yeah.
apartment for like 2 weeks to just finish out that class.
Oh my gosh. I have not been back to Gainesville since 2009. I was there from '05 to '09. When were you there?
So I'm class of '03, so I would have
Okay.
gone in '04, and then I graduated in 3.5 years because then when I ended up changing, my roommate had left, and I'm like, I'm out of here. I mean, Gainesville, once you've done it for 2 years, you're kind
Yeah.
of over it. So I had to go get like approval to like load up my classes more than whatever they allow, and I literally just like eat, sleep, study, repeat, and I
Wow.
just got the heck out of there. So I technically graduated in 3.5 years.
But that's for undergrad.
Yeah, for undergrad.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, okay. And then PA school, we were kind of overlapping when I was in medical school, same years.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this. This has been
Yes,
so
of course.
awesome. Tell everyone how they can find you.
So we are Skin Local. We trademarked it. And so you can't miss us, but we are mostly in Miami. We have 3 locations in Miami, one in Baldwin Park in Central Florida, Orlando, right by Winter Park, and one in Pacific Palisades, but that one is still, because of the recent fires, we can't open until probably New Year, like January. But ours was okay. Everything else burned. So it's been extremely devastating. But we're working with the community there, trying to help as many people as we can as a business owner out there. And as soon as they give us the green light, we'll be back open. But we had only been open a few months before the fires hit. And so that one is still like we can't operate out of that one until probably they say January, but we got to wait and see.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
crazy. And then what's your Instagram?
It's Gina McLean because I didn't think about that when you have to tell people. So it's Gina McLean.
Oh my
And
God, that's so
that's what
funny.
it starts with. I know, but now to change it, I'm like, forget it, forget it. I'm just gonna roll with it.
It is
Yeah.
easy to change it though. Just FYI.
I know, but I'm here thinking like all those business cards that we spent money on. I'm so
Oh yeah,
frugal
yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm like, forget
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, you can
It's
find
totally
it.
fine.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was awesome spending time with you and just learning
Thank you.
more
I feel
about
honored
you.
that you asked me to be part of your podcast. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
of course. And I'm so impressed with everything you've done. It's just the beginning, as you said.
Thank
And
you.
I'm excited to follow your journey and feel free to ask me any business questions you have, or I may ping you with a business question on the
Absolutely.
side.
I'm an open book, so we can, share ideas.
Yeah.
And as soon as I can get out towards you, I'd love to tour your places. They look phenomenal. You only have the utmost respect in the industry, and I'm proud to call you a colleague.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So thank you
Awesome.
everybody for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Thanks.